Hi, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hope you're all keeping safe and well. Now, before we actually kick off with this webinar session, if anybody's having any sort of technical difficulties in viewing this live stream webinar session, what I'd highly recommend, if you're tuning in on a laptop, if you refresh your browser page, so kind of just hit that refresh key on the top of your browser. If you are tuning in on a mobile device, similar sort of rule applies, but maybe if you come out of the YouTube app that you're currently in and then reload everything back up using the link that you received to view this webinar session, hopefully everything should be working. As with all types of technology, sometimes if it doesn't work, you kind of switch it off, you switch it back on, and everything's fine and working again. So feel free to kind of just take a moment to do that if you are experiencing kind of either sound or kind of visual issues as well. Now, for those of you who are okay and can hear and see me clearly, wonderful. Feel free to grab yourself a pen and paper just to kind of jot down some notes as we go throughout the course of this webinar session. I know I'm like one of those learners who likes to kind of jot down notes. I might never kind of read those notes back, but it's just something that kind of helps to embed new information and ideas as I kind of go along when I'm kind of learning something new. So feel free to kind of do that if you wish to do so. If you're anything like me, who probably rarely writes on pen and paper nowadays, feel free to kind of use whichever kind of note-taking device that you use alternatively as well. Okay, so for those of you who might have had any sort of technical difficulties in viewing this webinar session, I hope everything's now been ironed out for you. So without further ado, welcome to this Google Digital Garage webinar session, all about you can get started with digital advertising, which is delivered today in collaboration with Restaurants Association of Ireland. My name's Rikesh and I'm going to be your webinar presenter, taking you through the course of today's session, which is going to last for approximately 60 minutes. So a little bit about me first. I am a trainer for Google's digital skills program, Google Digital Garage. As well as that, I'm a digital marketer. So what that essentially means is I work with businesses to help them to create and to grow their online presence in order to attract more kind of customers or potential customers through their door or through their kind of digital or online door, as it can be the case as well. So that's kind of a little bit about what I do, and a lot of that can involve kind of looking into something like advertising, which is just kind of one branch and one extension of how we can kind of increase a business's visibility online. So that's just a little bit about me. I'd also like to introduce to you at this stage my colleague and fellow Google Digital Garage trainer, and that is the wonderful Melanie. Now, Melanie is going to be our chat moderator. So you won't see Melanie on screen, but you will see her in the live chat. Now, you might be wondering, Rikesh, where is this live chat? So the live chat is on the bottom right of your screen. You might have actually seen a few messages kind of scroll up your screen. I know we've already had one in from we've got one from Kimmy, who's tuning in from a sunny Dublin. So welcome, Kimmy. It's nice and sunny where I am as well, so it seems like the summer's in full force. So welcome to you, Kimmy. I hope that you really find this webinar session useful. So feel free to kind of get involved in that live chat. As I mentioned, Melanie is going to be kind of keep an eye on that live chat. If there's any sort of questions that you have as we progress throughout the course of this webinar session, the live chat is the place to kind of pop your questions in. And what Melanie will do is kind of go through some of your questions and then relay some of those back to me. If I don't know the answer to some of the questions, I will simply say I don't know the answer, as I'm sure many of you will kind of appreciate with the digital space and even the advertising space, to be even more specific at times. It's a forever evolving industry. So if I don't know the answer, I'll probably just say don't know the answer. You might need to go away and Google it, ironically. But feel free to kind of pop your questions into that live chat box and any sort of comments that you might have along the way as well. And then Melanie will be kind of feeding them back to me as well. One thing to note is, in order to kind of type away into that live chat box, you will simply just need to log into your YouTube account, which is very quick and easy to do. Now, the session that we are delivering today is Get Started with Digital Advertising, which, as I mentioned, is delivered today in collaboration with Restaurants Association of Ireland. Now, this is part of a webinar series that we are running in collaboration with Restaurants Association of Ireland, and the final webinar session in this series is actually going to be ran next week on the 8th of June at the same time at 10 a.m. So that's just something to kind of note down in your diaries. And the topic that is going to be covered next week on the 8th of June is all going to be about digital marketing strategy, which kind of brings everything a little bit kind of full circle. And hopefully by the end of that webinar session, you'll have kind of a tangible step-by-step digital marketing plan framework that you can go ahead and apply to your own business as well. So be sure to kind of sign up for that particular webinar session. I'm sure that Melanie is kind of going to be dropping a link to that in the live chat for you as well, for you to sign up for next week as well. Now, another thing that you can do is you can have a look at the Google Digital Garage website. The link to the Google Digital Garage website is down below where I'm pointing, which is in the video description box. So feel free to kind of have a look into that and book yourself onto other fantastic Google Digital Garage webinar sessions. And also check out the online courses section. In the online courses section, there's lots of different online courses which are provided by Google at no charge to you, so you can complete these courses in your own time and at your own pace. There's a really great course to check out on there called the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course, which once completed as well, you'll actually receive a certificate from Google at no charge as well. So feel free to kind of check all of that out when you do get a moment. But without further ado, let's actually look at what we're covering in today's webinar session on how you can get started with digital advertising. So first and foremost, we're going to be kind of going through what we mean by search advertising. So you can actually see, if we kind of bring everything as a whole here, we're going to be looking at three distinct types of digital advertising. These are kind of three of the most kind of commonly used types of digital advertising, hence why we're going to be kind of covering this over the next hour. So we're first going to be starting off with something known as search advertising, and understanding what all that's about. How do we actually go from kind of a standing start to actually having a real life ad running. Once we've done that, we're going to be exploring what we mean by display advertising as well. And then once we've kind of explored display advertising, we're finally going to be wrapping up by learning a little bit more about social advertising, or kind of social media advertising as well. Now, as we kind of go through each individual type of digital advertising here, I just want to kind of put all these options out there to you. Some of these options you might already be using within your own business. Some of these you might be thinking, or you might be on the verge of thinking, right, yeah, I want to implement some of this. I want to kind of go down the route of social media. I want to kind of go down the route of advertising, search engines, whatever it might be. Now, you might be there thinking, I don't necessarily have an advertising budget. And that's okay as well, because the whole purpose of this webinar session is to kind of make you aware of a lot of these different types of digital advertising that are out there, so that when if and when the time comes for your own business where you do maybe have a budget to use for advertising, then you know a little bit more information around kind of the digital advertising space as well. So it's just kind of putting the options out there to you. So if we kind of focus now on the first type of digital advertising, which is all about search advertising. So what is search advertising? Well, it's exactly what the term means. It's placing adverts that appear exclusively on search engines such as the likes of Google or Bing. So I'm sure many of you would have seen a page like this. If you've ever typed anything into that Google search box and hit the enter key, you would have been brought up with a page like this, albeit with different search results, because we all kind of type for lots of different things. But this is what is known as a search engine results page. So if we kind of break this search engine results page down in turn, I'm sure many of you out there will kind of acutely be aware of the actual format nowadays of these search engine results pages, purely because we kind of look at them quite often anyway as well. So at the top, we've got the search query. So this is that Google search box. So if ourselves or our customers or potential customers are typing something in, they will type something into the search box, hit the enter key, and then they'll be brought to this search engine results page. So let's say somebody is typing in takeaway pizza. That's what somebody is looking for. Below that, we've got this kind of box, which is in yellow here. And this box has actually got a search advert in there. Now, the reason that this is an advert, and you can tell that this is an advert, is not only is it kind of highlighted in that yellow box to kind of provide some level of kind of distinction here, but you can actually see below kind of the D for Domino's on this particular example, it's actually got the word ad in a kind of in a green box there as well. So you can actually see that comes very kind of prominently on that search engine results page. Now you only see one ad here that appears. Now in terms of a search engine results page, you will typically see up to 4 adverts appear. Now you can see that only one advert has appeared on this particular search engine results page. Now the reason for that could be that only one advert is relevant to what somebody's searching for in a specific locality. So if somebody actually searched for this takeaway pizza in Dublin or another place, right, you might have seen probably 4 adverts appear. It just depends on kind of the interest and how many people are looking to be found for takeaway pizza. It's something that we'll actually be looking at very shortly as well. And then kind of below that, you can see that below the advert section, you've got the other section, which is known as the organic listings, or essentially kind of the section whereby your business, your business website can be found at no cost. So just by the very virtue of, let's say, your restaurant having a business website, just by that very virtue of you having that business website, you're not running any advertising, nothing like that. Just by you having that website, you will appear within these organic listings. So this is just below the adverts page. Now, you might not necessarily appear on the first page of Google. You might appear on the 3rd page or 4th page. So ideally, we want to kind of get onto that first page of Google, and then eventually kind of chip our way to eventually getting onto that first slot, which is kind of the sweet spot that that all businesses kind of aim and strive to kind of get towards, whereby after after all the adverts have been, we are the next result there as well. And that's something which can take a lot of time and effort to do, but a kind of a simple way, especially if we are maybe a new business. So maybe we are a new Mexican restaurant, for example, and we're looking to kind of become more known. A great way to kind of do that and kind of get more of a buzz and get more people perhaps looking at us and placing table reservations would be by maybe running adverts. So it's just something to explore there as well. Now, before we kind of go into the process of how running adverts on search engines works, I want to kind of introduce you to a business here. So this business is called John's Pizzeria, and it's an Italian restaurant which is situated in Ballsbridge in Dublin. Now, John's actually set as a remit here, which is that he wants to increase sales and is interested to know how digital advertising can help. Okay. Fantastic. So we've got this remit here. Just one thing to note here, that John's Pizzeria is a completely made up business. We're just using this business as an example because I fully appreciate, and I when I'm kind of learning new things, I always kind of like to kind of see how something works in action with a kind of a tangible kind of business working example as well. So we're going to be using John's Pizzeria for this kind of specific purpose as we kind of progress throughout the course of this webinar session. So let's actually have a look at the process for search advertising. Another term for search advertising is search engine marketing. You might have also kind of heard of the acronym of that, which is SEM. In the advertising space, it seems that a lot of people love these kind of acronyms out there. So things such as kind of SEM. All of it essentially just means placing adverts that appear on search engines exclusively. So you can see that there's a 4-step process here, which we'll kind of break down in turn. Step 1 starts off with understanding your customers. Now, the reason why this is step 1, and it's not just a step 1 for this type of advertising, it's essentially a step 1 for all types of advertising, whether it be digital advertising or kind of non-digital advertising. It's very important to kind of understand who's on the other end of the screen or who's on the other end of a paper or a magazine whereby your advert is going to be ran. So it all kind of comes back to that, because that is very much kind of the foundation point of pretty much the majority of advertising, if not all of advertising there as well. So it's very important to kind of understand who our customers are and another kind of way of kind of putting that is understanding who our potential customers are. So the people that might be visiting our restaurant, for example, as well. Step 2 is all about finding keywords, which I'll go through very, very shortly as well. Step 3 is creating an ad that's going to make people want to click onto it when they when they actually see our advert appear on Google. And then step 4, we'll kind of put all the pieces together and kind of go through kind of a step-by-step process of how do we actually set up a Google ad that's going to appear on search engines exclusively as well. Now, step 1 is all about understanding our customers. And as I mentioned, this is very much kind of the bedrock of everything else flowing when it comes to advertising, because we want to really kind of hone in and kind of really make sure that we have kind of ticked off this step in its kind of entirety first and foremost. So let's actually look at kind of John's Pizzeria here, because he set us this kind of remit of understanding how digital advertising can help him. So we're going to be exploring that with search advertising first and foremost. So we've actually asked him to answer 3 questions, and these are 3 questions that you're more than welcome to jot down for yourself as well. So you got 3 questions such as who is your audience, where are they, and what's important to them. So what John's done here is he's actually identified 3 potential target audiences or target customers who might be searching for restaurants like his, or pizzerias to be specific like his. And he's identified 3 distinct types of audiences here. Now you could go for kind of 5 if you do have that kind of sense of variety, but just kind of try and keep it small first and foremost, then you can always kind of gradually build that out if you wish to do so. So what John's gone for here is he's identified students, he's identified busy professionals, and he's identified pizza lovers here as well. Now, where are they? So the answer, the question that's being asked here is, where are these students, busy professionals, and pizza lovers, where are they based geographically? So this is kind of where John's had to kind of make a little bit of an educated guess with a lot of kind of places. So he's identified Ballsbridge, which is where his pizzeria is based. Great, because he is looking to kind of capture that local kind of audience there as well, and kind of or local kind of customer base as well. He's identified Sandymount, which tends to have a lot of kind of student accommodation around that area. So it looks like he's done a little bit of homework as well, not just kind of off the top of his own head and done a bit of kind of googling around, but also he's kind of looked at kind of the student market that he's kind of sold to before. Maybe with his pizzeria, he also offers kind of delivery services as well, so where those kind of delivery drop-offs have kind of gone to as well. And then he's also kind of popped in there Dublin 4, so he's kind of really kind of being quite specific with kind of the postal area as well. And then we've kind of got the final question here that we've asked John when it comes to understanding his customer base or potential customer base here, which is to identify what things that what are the things that are important when it comes to students, busy professionals, and pizza lovers buying pizza from them, or kind of ordering or placing a table reservation to go in and eat at his pizzeria. So he's identified a few kind of reasons here. So he's identified kind of the variety of toppings available. That might be something which can really kind of appeal to perhaps students. Fast delivery is something that would really kind of appeal to busy professionals. So if we've got kind of busy professionals who are kind of working maybe kind of 12-hour days, and then they've maybe kind of got to get home, they've only got about an hour to eat their dinner, and then they're straight back into kind of doing a little bit of kind of prep work for the following day. So fast delivery is something which is very important to as a busy professional, is something which John has identified there. And for those kind of pizza lovers or kind of pizza connoisseurs, he's identified kind of authentic ingredients. So they really kind of know, and they can really kind of tell when a pizza is kind of authentic and fresh, as opposed to one that's just kind of been taken out of the freezer, one that was kind of cooked the other day as well. So he's kind of identified those kind of values and what is really kind of important to these types of audiences when it comes to a pizzeria or a kind of a pizza place in general as well. So it's really important to kind of go through each one of these questions kind of in a step-by-step and kind of a methodical kind of manner in order to actually kind of really kind of come out with kind of in-depth answers to each one of these as well. So once we've kind of done that, we want to then kind of move on to step 2 of this process of search advertising, which is to create a keyword plan. Now you might be wondering, well, Rikesh, what is a keyword? Or you might have kind of heard the term and you might have heard it kind of being explained before, but you want to kind of just kind of refresh yourself on that. So keyword or keywords, kind of plural, these are essentially words or phrases that essentially are typed into that Google search box or kind of search engine box in general. And with these keywords, from an advertising point of view, we are looking to kind of match our advert and have our advert appear with certain keywords that people are typing into that search box. So as we kind of saw with that example of the search engine results page, what was typed into that search box was the phrase takeaway pizza. Now, I could have actually typed in something different. I could have typed in best takeaway pizza 2021 Dublin. I could have typed that in, or best pizza Ballsbridge. I could have typed that in as well. It could have even been a question. So where is the best place that I can find late night pizza in Ballsbridge, Dublin? That in its whole entirety is still a keyword. Now, you might be wondering, well, how can I actually find out what people are searching for? Because we want to kind of make sure that we are having our adverts appear for kind of common terms and common kind of phrases that people are typing into that search box. Well, there's a tool that's actually built into a platform called Google Ads. And this tool is called the Google Ads Keyword Planner. And you can use this tool without having to run any adverts straight away as well. So you can use this tool as kind of almost like a research base to kind of find out a collection of keywords that you want to then use when it comes to setting up and creating an advert to run on Google itself as well. So it's very important to kind of really identify what people are searching for, especially because our search behaviors change over periods of time. So even let's say about 5 or 6 years ago, we weren't necessarily typing in kind of pizza. We were typically kind of typing in pizza in Ballsbridge or pizza in Dublin, whereas now we would just type in pizza near me, perhaps, because we're on the go. And the way that kind of search has sort of changed and evolved is that we can be a little bit more specific as well, and search engines can handle that as well. So that's very, very important there when it comes to keywords. Now, in terms of keyword combinations, we can make quite a lot of them because we don't want to be really generic and try and just be found for takeaway pizza or pizzeria Dublin, for example, Pizza Dublin. We want to kind of create a combination. So if we have a look some combination that we can create here for John's Pizzeria. So we've got keywords close related to John's business, so pizza, fast food, takeaway. Then we've got keywords that are closely related to the locality as well, so Ballsbridge, Sandymount, you've got Dublin 4 there as well. And then we can create the combination, so pizza D4, pizza Ballsbridge, pizza Dublin as well. So you can see all these kind of combinations, and this is just kind of an example. You can actually stick quite a few of them together if you wish to do so as well, although it's very much kind of a fine line to actually to kind of balance between kind of having some keywords which other people aren't looking to be found for, other businesses aren't looking to be found for, which will mean our cost typically would be lower of running these adverts, but also balancing that out with, we don't want to overcomplicate things, because if a lot of people aren't going through the effort of typing in so many of these words into that search box, then our advert simply won't appear. So we want to kind of make sure that we kind of have that kind of happy balance there as well. So if we kind of match some keywords with businesses here, we've kind of got a row of businesses here. So we've got a mobile hairdresser in Dublin, a phone repair shop in Dublin, a cupcake shop in Dublin, and then just to be different, we've got an online fancy dress shop, which is not location dependent as well. And below that, we've actually got a selection of keywords here. So if I actually kind of put these all in order here, a moment. So with kind of the mobile hairdresser, we could be found for Barber Dublin. Now, the one thing with Barber Dublin is that there might be a lot of interest for that. And what I mean by interest here is when we are running and looking to create these adverts that are appearing exclusively on search engines, we are essentially going into an auction. So we are saying when we are kind of running adverts is this is how much we are willing to pay for our advert to appear when somebody types in Barber Dublin. Now, if there's a lot of interest in that, the cost for your advert to appear might be a little bit higher. So what we can do with some of these keywords is we can try and sort of think a little bit more out of the box, be a little bit more niche. And as I mentioned, we still want to make sure that we're kind of keeping that balance so that we're not overcomplicating things as well. So maybe something like mobile salon Dublin 1 might be useful. Rather than kind of just being a little bit more kind of vague or a little bit more generic with kind of Barber Dublin. With a phone repair shop, you can see phone repair Dublin. Again, there might be kind of a few businesses who might be looking to be found for that and looking to run adverts off the back of that. So that might be a little bit more costly. But what you could also look at when it comes to keywords could be looking at especially for the phone repair shop as to what reasons do a lot of our customers, our current customer base, come into our shop for. So things such as kind of where can I fix my iPhone screen Dublin. That could be something that is a keyword in itself. Or where can I buy a screen protector for a particular phone, Dublin as well. That could be something that could be entered in, and you can actually create a keyword off the back of that as well. We've got cupcakes as well, cupcake shop in Dublin, so same day cupcakes Dublin. That might be something which is a little bit more unique as well, or things such as kind of best cupcakes in Dublin as well. And then the one that's kind of slightly different, which is less kind of location dependent, is this online fancy dress shop. So how do they stand out? Well, they can actually kind of promote and market through and use keywords for maybe costumes that others don't necessarily sell. So maybe something like that cupcake costume, they could actually sell that to the cupcake shop in Dublin or rent it out to them perhaps as well. Or kind of American football referee outfit, which maybe not as many online fancy dress shops sell or rent out, to be fair, as well. So that's kind of a few things to kind of consider when it comes to keywords there as well. So that's kind of step 2 done, is understanding our keywords and really kind of honing in, using that Google Ads keyword planner tool to our benefit and advantage there as well. Now, step 3 is we want to create engaging search adverts. So we've got all these keywords. What do we do next? We want to get people clicking onto us. So how do we get people clicking onto us? Well, anytime that we run an advert, what grabs our attention? Anytime that we're maybe jumping onto a news website, or in my case, probably a sports news website or a tech review site, what grabs our attention to click and read articles is headlines. We're drawn by kind of the bigger font kind of information. And that's the same when it comes to running these types of adverts as well. So you can actually see kind of a mock-up that we've created here of for John's Pizzeria. So we've actually created one ad headline here, which is in blue, which says pizza takeaway in Ballsbridge. And we've created a second one here, which says fast 15-minute delivery. And what we want to do is, maybe with the first headline, we kind of want to say exactly what we offer, because it's very important to be kind of transparent from the outset, especially online. We don't want to kind of hide any sort of mystique around what we do or what we sell, or what kind of food that we provide. So there's no need to just put takeaway in Ballsbridge. We want to say that we do pizza takeaway in Ballsbridge, right? Because we are a pizzeria in John's case here as well. Then after that, we can include some other additional kind of ad headlines, which really kind of lean into what the person on the other end of the screen, our target audiences that we looked at in step 1, what they find important to them. So let's actually have a look at a few kind of ad headlines here. And again, if I kind of descramble these and put these kind of in order, So for people who value that kind of convenience aspect, right? So these are going to be those busy professionals who don't necessarily have a lot of time to have their dinner in the evening, perhaps. Then maybe add headlines such as scheduled delivery available or fast 15-minute delivery. That's something that will really kind of pique their interest. So that's something that could be used. So you can actually see how step 1 even correlates down to step 3 when we're talking about kind of creating these ad headlines here as well. You can see that for people who value variety, so these could be perhaps those students, right? 17 different toppings available. That's a really great ad headline. I know when I was a student, I used to love kind of that variety with kind of pizza places. A different deal every day, fantastic. I like the word deal. I'm sure many students would definitely agree with that as well. People who value an authentic experience, so these would typically be those pizza lovers or kind of pizza bloggers perhaps as well, and they might be drawn to ad headlines such as authentic Neapolitan pizza or live Italian music on Fridays perhaps. So it's very important to kind of consider all of the ad headlines that we're kind of creating, because we want to make sure that not only are our ads being seen, but also once they're being seen, people are actually clicking onto them. So we're kind of generating that buzz, generating that interest. So if John's Pizzeria is looking to kind of make sure that okay, he's got live Italian music, but he wants to make sure his restaurant's absolutely buzzing and full on a Friday on the coming Friday night, then he can run a lot of these adverts. But his goal is essentially to get people going through to his website and actually placing a table reservation. So it's important not only to kind of think about, okay, our advert can appear when somebody types something in, types in a particular phrase into that Google search box, but we want to make sure that not only are people seeing it, that they're clicking onto our advert and maybe taking, and from our point of view, kind of taking the desired action that we want them to take as well. So if we kind of put all these 4 steps together here, so putting all these steps together, we want to kind of to actually set up a search advert. We would log into the platform of Google Ads, and Google Ads, as I mentioned earlier on, is the same platform where we can access the Google Ads keyword planner at no charge. So we can do all of that research about our keywords before we kind of set up, before we actually set up and actually place an advert as well. Once we've kind of logged into Google Ads and kind of got it set up with that, we can create a campaign, an advertising campaign. The type of advertising campaign that we're setting up here is what is known as a search campaign, because these are adverts that are appearing exclusively on search engines. Once we've done that, for John, we want to look at kind of targeting settings. So John has just gone for Dublin as a kind of a wide variety. He could have gone for Ballsbridge. He could have gone for kind of Dublin 4 if he wanted to as well. You can actually see there we've also got kind of step 5, which is kind of adding keywords. So you can see there's kind of a selection of keywords that John's added here, such as the likes of Pizza Dublin 4, Pizza Ballsbridge, Fast Food Dublin 4. So there's kind of a group there. So there's just from kind of my personal point of view, in terms of my experiences when it comes to advertising, is you don't want to kind of have too many keywords, because you kind of get into that realm of being very generic and trying to be kind of having your advert appear for pretty much everything. So you want to kind of be specific. So maybe have a set of kind of 8 to 10 keywords, and then just test and optimize. Maybe you will add an extra couple of keywords to your keyword list for a specific advert that you're looking to run, and then you can sort of scale it either back or increase as kind of things go along. Because the one thing to have essentially with advertising, whether it be kind of not only kind of digital advertising but also non-digital advertising, it's a good mindset to have, is kind of be willing to chop and change, be willing to kind of make adjustments along the way, especially from an advertising point of view, because there's money at stake. We have a budget that we are essentially kind of working to, so we want to essentially be getting as much kind of return on our investment as possible by running these adverts as well. And you can see here, final step, which is actually go about kind of creating the advert itself. One thing to actually do is to make sure that we're looking at not only how our advert appears in kind of the preview section on desktop, but also preview how it appears on mobile, especially with the vast majority of it nowadays kind of being kind of mobile first. because that is essentially the device that we carry around with us 24/7. I'm sure even some of you leave your phone on the bedside cabinet, or some of you, like something which I had kind of a few years ago, had a habit of actually going to sleep with my phone right beside my pillow as well. So we pretty much have it on us 24/7, and we can use that to kind of Google anything, find businesses, find restaurants, and any kind of other any other kind of businesses, just using our mobile, rather than having to open up the laptop and then type something in that way as well. And then once we create our advert, we want to test, make sure everything's working, okay, and make those tweaks and adjustments as well. So with that in mind, let's have a quick check-in to see if there's any sort of questions from you all. Okay, can't see any questions at the moment, so hopefully you've been kind of jotting down a few kind of pointers. And as I mentioned, this is just kind of throwing out this option of search advertising, and when we go through the kind of the next couple of types of digital advertising, it's just giving you those kind of options, and then you can look to kind of incorporate one or a couple of them at a time into your own business, so long as it's kind of relevant and in keeping with kind of budgets as well. As with all types of advertising, it all kind of comes down to budgets at times as well. So if you have got any questions, pop them into the live chat. Melanie will kindly feedback some of these questions that you that you'll pop down in there to me, and I'll try and get through as many of those in the time that we have together. So with that in mind, let's have a look at our second type of advertising, which is display advertising here. So what are display adverts, or display ads for short? So these are what I like to kind of term as the billboards of the internet. So if we kind of think of billboards, we kind of see them whenever we're in kind of we're in kind of a built-up area. We're in like city centres, or we're somewhere where there's a kind of a high kind of footfall. We see these massive billboards, these static billboards. Now, display adverts are basically the digital versions of that. You might have actually heard of terms such as banner ads. So maybe you have kind of jumped onto your favorite kind of blog site or a local news website before, and you're trying to get to an article, but what you see maybe along the sides, along the top, and maybe sometimes even at the bottom of that article, is you see adverts for various type of products or services there. So these are what are known as display adverts there as well. Now, in terms of what's kind of shape and form these display adverts come in, they typically will come in kind of image-based form, but that's kind of not a set format. So they can be text format, so simple kind of text that can appear as an advert. They can also be video-based as well, but it will depend on what type of websites will accept that. Because essentially with these display adverts, we are advertising on other people's websites, so publisher sites as well. So that's just something to kind of bear in mind, but typically it would very much, most of the time, would be kind of image based adverts, because we are kind of visual learners. If you kind of see the likes of kind of Instagram, the likes of kind of YouTube out there, we are kind of visual kind of learners these days as well. So how does display advertising actually differ to what we've just covered, which is search advertising? Well, search advertising, as we looked at earlier on, focused exclusively on placing adverts on search engines only, such as the likes of Google. So they won't appear anywhere else on the internet. These adverts will only appear on search engines. Now, the main goal of these types of adverts is to actually generate sales. Now, in a service-based industry, that still is the case. So generate sales could simply mean that a table reservation is made. And if you get enough table reservations, your restaurant will be kind of fully booked for a Friday night, for example, for John's Pizzeria. Now, on the flip side, with display advertising, how that differs is that we're not kind of placing any adverts on search engines. We're placing adverts across a multitude of websites. So we're placing adverts on other people's websites, such as kind of local news sites, such as blogs as well. Now, the main goal here is to actually create a sense of awareness. and create a sense of buzz and get more people maybe visiting our restaurant's websites and then clicking onto the table reservation page, maybe finding out and reading our menu as to what options do we have. Do we have kind of vegan options? Does the restaurant cater for kind of gluten-free, whatever it might be, right? So that's what it's there for. And it's in the same way that a billboard is there to kind of pique some curiosity. That's what display adverts are there to do. So with that in mind, let's look at the process for display advertising, which again starts with understanding your customers. We're then going to look at kind of step 2 of finding placement ideas, step 3 of creating our advert, and then we'll put all these steps together. So step 1 is about understanding our customers. So we've got that same first question there that we've asked John, which is who is his ideal type of audience or his target type of customer. So he's still identified as students, busy professionals, pizza lovers, but the second question that we asked from earlier on, which is where are they? That was kind of geographically based type of question. Now this question about where are they is where are these students, busy professionals, pizza lovers, which websites are they spending a lot of time on online? So for John, he's identified kind of student websites or kind of probably from my days as a student, probably student discount websites as well. For busy professionals, he's identified kind of local food directory websites. For pizza lovers, it could be kind of food blogs to find out kind of recommendations from others as well. So we want to really go through these questions in depth and kind of come up with the answers, because again, this is something which will help us as we go down the remainder of these steps. Now, step 2 is about finding which websites that we actually want to place our website on. Place our advert on, or our digital adverts on there as well. Now, the way that we can do that is we can use something known as the Google Display Planner. So the Google Display Planner, you can actually see a screen grab of that here on the right hand side. It will show you kind of a list of websites which are relevant to what your customers are interested in. So for John, he's typed in some keywords such as pizza, takeaway, and restaurant, which is what his customers or potential customers will be interested in. And then you've got a list of kind of websites such as ordertakeaways.ie, pizza.ie. And then you can actually see here, there's kind of a relevancy section here. And this relevancy section, it's kind of got a traffic light system. So green is good. So it shows you that it's kind of a relevant website for you to place your advert on. And then as you, if you were to kind of scroll down here, you would actually see that there's kind of amber, and then it goes to red, which will kind of say you probably shouldn't place an advert on this particular website as well. And then you can actually see beside here, you've got a section called Ad Formats. If you were to hover over each one of these, it will tell you whether you're able to kind of place a text-based advert on this website, whether they accept small image-based adverts, whether they accept large image-based adverts, whether they accept video adverts as well, and whether they accept kind of mobile adverts as well. So it's very important to kind of go through this with a fine-tooth comb and kind of really identify what are going to be the relevant websites that you can actually place your adverts on as well. So that kind of brings us to step 3 here when it comes to this display advertising process, which is creating an engaging advert. We want to make sure that our advert, which is typically and a lot of the time going to be kind of an image-based advert, how do we actually make it visually appealing? Because I'm sure if you're anything like me, at times we tend to kind of, if we're looking at like a news article on a local news site, what we tend to do nowadays, I know I do anyway, is mentally I tend to kind of tune out what's on the sides and what's on the top and the bottom, because I just think, oh, it's just a bit of advertising. So what we really want to do is we want to make sure that our photo is very kind of very visually descriptive, like you can see here with the example of a pizza being made for a mock-up that we've created for John's Pizzeria here. We want to kind of add in a reference to the locality, so Pizza in Ballsbridge is there as well, and maybe even sneak in if possible, if it's applicable and relevant to your businesses, add in kind of a special offer or promotion, such as buy one pizza get the second one free as well. So if we kind of put all these steps together now with step 4 here, so in order to create a display advert, so a digital billboard essentially, we would still log into the Google Ads platform, because we can create that through this tool as well. And once we've done that, we can actually select on create a new campaign. Now, the type of campaign that we're using here is called a display campaign rather than a search campaign, because search campaigns only apply to adverts that are appearing exclusively on search engines. These are display campaigns. So once you actually click that, you'll actually see the screens relating to display adverts once we've done that as well. We then want to select our targeting options. You can actually see here that John's gone for Ballsbridge. Very specifically as well, rather than Dublin, so he's kind of changed it up. Fair enough. We've actually got we've actually got here kind of examples of what kind of relevant websites there are that we can actually place this our adverts on. So we've got the likes of lovindublin.com, Zamalta.com. It's just got a few ideas, but hopefully by this point we would have actually done a bit of research as to which websites we want to actually kind of tick the box of as well. Once we've done that, we can go about creating our advert, uploading our photo, make sure that our photo is not kind of grainy and it appears to work and look great, both on kind of desktop view and mobile view as well. And then we can kind of review and then publish our advert. And again, make tweaks, make adjustments, see what images work. We can actually run 2 display adverts at the same time, so we can do kind of what's known as a split A/B test. And run kind of 2 different images, see which one is getting the most kind of attention as well. Because not only when it comes to these display adverts, not only do we want to get people's attention, we eventually want them to actually click onto the advert and learn a little bit more about our restaurant, for example, when it comes to John's Pizzeria, maybe place a table reservation, or maybe place an order for a delivery, perhaps as well. Okay, so let's have a quick check-in, see if there's any sort of questions coming in from you all at the moment. Okay, so I can't see any questions at the moment. If there are, feel free to kind of pop them into the live chat, and Melanie will kindly feed them back to me as we progress throughout the course of this session. So with that in mind, let's actually look at the final type of digital advertising that we're going to be looking at in this session, which is all about social paid advertising. Or another term for that is social advertising. Another term for that is paid social media advertising. Or another term for that is social media marketing. All of that essentially means the same exact thing, which is that you are placing adverts that appear exclusively on these social media platforms, such as the likes of Facebook, such as the likes of YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. as well. So that's what we mean by social media advertising. As I mentioned, this is just something to consider alongside the likes of a display advertising, alongside the likes of of search advertising that I've covered at the beginning of this webinar session as well. So it's just an option, another kind of option to kind of throw out there for you all as well. So you might be wondering, well, Rikesh, we've gone through 2 types of digital advertising. Why should we consider advertising on social media? Well, one of the biggest factors I think can't be overlooked is the fact that the vast majority of us nowadays are on social media platforms. I'm sure many of you, if you're kind of like me, are probably on multiple social media platforms out there. So from a business point of view, that's a lot of pairs of eyes that are on these platforms. That's spending a lot of time. I'm sure I'm not the only one that once I've kind of had maybe once I've had some dinner, kind of sit down in front of the TV, maybe stick on my favorite show that I'm kind of binge watching at the time. And then what do we tend to do whilst we're kind of binge watching something that we actually enjoy? Just kind of subconsciously we take out our phone, start kind of scrolling our news feeds on social media at times as well. So that's something that we can't really overlook. Now, from an advertising point of view, great, we can actually run adverts on there on these platforms, but we can run different types of adverts for different types of audiences. The people that maybe like our business page on a particular social media account, maybe we can run offers for them, special promotion type of adverts, because those are the people that already like our page, already know about us. Whereas those who those people out there who don't necessarily know about us yet, we can actually run adverts telling them a little bit more about our restaurant, for example, with John. So where they kind of came from, where were their kind of humble beginnings, what kind of signature pizzas do they offer, for example, as well. So you do get a lot of kind of flexibility when it comes to placing adverts on social media. Now, there's 2 different types of social media kind of promotion, advertising in general. You've got organic and you've got paid social media. So organic social media, this is something which you can do right now. So if you have something, let's say like a Facebook business page, you can actually right now, using your smartphone, provided you're not tuning in onto this webinar session using your smartphone itself, you can right now just actually post something out onto your business page, whether it be a promotion, whether it be a menu item that you got special, whatever it might be. You can put that straight on there. It doesn't cost you a penny. But the caveat to that is that you will only reach the people or a proportion of the people that follow you or are kind of friends with your page of sorts there. And that's where paid social media advertising comes into play, where we're actually paying for a certain number of views of an advert, or we're paying when somebody clicks onto our advert when it appears into their news feeds as well. So our advert can appear in more places. So we can appear in the news feeds of people who don't even know about our restaurant and don't even know that they want to eat at John's Pizzeria next week. So we've got that kind of really kind of, it's something which can really help us kind of open up those floodgates when it comes to social media. So we can kind of target people who don't know about it, that don't know about us yet. And that can really help with kind of growth as a business as well. Now we are paying for that privilege. So it's just something to kind of weigh up and kind of balance up in terms of whether we have the budget to do this or not. So we can reach the people, we can reach more people than that who kind of currently follows us as well. Now, in terms of kind of the clear distinctions between organic and paid social media, if we look at kind of example here, this is kind of a Facebook post. On the left hand side, this is one which has just been posted, which didn't cost a penny at all. It was done at no charge. And then if we actually have a look on the one on the right, you can see that this is a paid advert because underneath where it says Google, it says sponsored. So you know that this has been placed there. And this advert will appear in the news feeds of people who don't necessarily follow Google's Facebook business page as well. So you can reach people who don't necessarily know or even follow a particular page as well. Another thing that you'll see with advertising, with a lot of kind of advertising platforms, is there's a few extra additions that you can do. So you can add in an extra kind of title and heading. And if I was to click anywhere within this little bottom strap line, that will take me to the desired website rather than me having to kind of click a link that I would have to on kind of the left hand side here with the kind of organic social media post up there as well. And then another thing that you can see here, you can see there's a button here which says sign up. So this sign up button is part of what is known as a call to action. And you might have seen these dotted around on the internet, and I believe we're kind of exposed to these on a daily basis, whether it be in digital marketing or digital advertising in general, or any type of advertising, where you kind of see things such as book now, learn more, see menu. All of those are kind of buttons. They're all kind of prompts for the person on the other end of the screen to take a particular action. And that's something which you can add in if you are going to be running an advert on certain social media platforms out there as well. Now, with Twitter, it's probably a little bit less noticeable. It's a little bit more kind of subtle. But the one kind of giveaway that you know that a particular post is an advert is that on the bottom left, it will say the word promoted with a little arrow pointing upwards as well. And the other key kind of telltale sign, not just with Twitter, but all types of adverts, is that you will see adverts appear for businesses that you don't even follow or that you don't even know about, which is the beauty of it as a business, because you can get your business in front of people who don't know about you yet and don't even know that they want to dine with you yet, for example, as well. So you might be wondering, well, Rikesh, where should I advertise? Which kind of social media platform should I be on and be advertising on? And I'll actually answer that particular question in just a second when it comes to our audience, because everything stems from our audience or our target customer base who are online. But in terms of kind of having a social media presence, running these adverts, we don't necessarily want to kind of spread ourselves thin and think, right, I need to place adverts on Twitter, across kind of Instagram, on Facebook, for example. We want to kind of maybe take a more of a strategic approach and just maybe focus on one social media platform that our target audiences are on. And once we've done that, we can then kind of lean into that a little bit more, refine that advertising process that we have, and then look to translate that into another platform as well. So with that in mind, let's actually have a look at the process for social media advertising. So as I kind of mentioned at the very beginning of this webinar session, when we kind of looked at search advertising process, it all starts with our audience. But you can actually see here, we've actually included a further step here, which is before our audience, is to choose objective. Because with social media, we want to kind of define what are we looking to get out of it as a business. From a personal point of view, it's great. Keep in touch with friends and family. Fantastic. Send memes, send gifts, whatever it might be. But from a business point of view, what are we looking to get out of it by kind of running adverts? What's our goal and objective there as well before we kind of go into adverts? So we looked at when it came to kind of search advertising, our main goal was to kind of generate sales, or essentially get those table reservations in. From a display advertising point of view, the goal and objective there was to get more people knowing about your new restaurant, let's say. And from social media, we can choose what we want to achieve out of it. Is it to get that awareness? Is it to get more people visiting your website, visiting your menu? Is it to get more table reservations? We can kind of really kind of choose what our goal and objective is as well. Then we want to choose our audience, and kind of look at and really identify where are our audience spending time on, and that will help us to answer that question that we looked at a moment ago, which is where should I advertise? Then create an advert, and then it's all about kind of setting our budgets essentially. Now, when it comes to kind of our audience, there are tools which are built into these social media platforms, such as the likes of Facebook Insights, Instagram Insights, YouTube Analytics, Twitter Analytics, etc., which can help you to understand the demographics and the types of people, interests, and a lot of other kind of information, which we can then use to build and paint a picture of who are the people that are interested in our restaurants, interested in our business in general as well. Now, one thing that is great about social media is that we're able to kind of keep an eye out on our industry peers to see how they're doing. So if a particular industry peer is seeing a lot of kind of engagement, is seeing a lot of an audience kind of grow on a particular platform, that can give us a good indication that maybe we should have a presence on Facebook, for example, and start to kind of create our own sizable audience as well. Now, one thing that we can do with social media is we can actually answer questions such as this. Is which social media platform is driving the most traffic or sales on our website? Now, what I mean by sales, this could simply be people when they get to when people get to the table reservation page, that is a sale for us. Or when people get to the table confirmed page, that is a sale for us as well. So that's how it can kind of translate into kind of the service-based industry there as well. Now, this is a screenshot of a platform called Google Analytics. Google Analytics is a Google tool available at no charge, which you can link together with your business website, which allows you to essentially track every click that happens on your website as well. It's fantastic, whereby you're able to kind of see information such as this, such as which social media platforms are bringing in the most amount of visitors to your website, and not only the most amount of visitors, the most amount of kind of valuable visitors, the ones that are actually taking desired action off the back of that as well, because that can help you to maybe, if Twitter's not really performing, you're not getting that much kind of uptake or valuable custom from that, then you could pause Twitter ads and maybe continue running more adverts on Facebook, or continue running more adverts on YouTube, for example, as well. So with social media, the great thing about our advertising, we can target people based upon kind of location, gender, age. Also, the likes of kind of Facebook, we can target people based upon the interests, live events. With Twitter, we can target people based upon the keywords, on who they're following. And with LinkedIn, we can target people based upon kind of job title and skills as well. So if we kind of match some of these statements, so I want to target females who live in Cork, like jewelry, and have a birthday coming up. So Facebook would probably be the most appropriate platform for that, because you've got the likes, or kind of the interest there, which is in jewelry, and you've got a life event in a birthday coming up as well. Kind of the red bubble here, you can see I want to target people who live in Kildare and are following my competitors. So that's kind of a giveaway for Twitter, would be the most ideal platform for that. And then you've got I want to target financial directors who work in IT and who are based in Ireland. So LinkedIn seems to be the most appropriate one for that as well. So it's a really kind of great place for kind of targeting and getting kind of really kind of niching down in terms of the target kind of audience and target customer base that you are looking to kind of cultivate as a business as well. So with that in mind, let's actually have a quick final check-in, see if there's any sort of questions from you all, and I can't see any. So with that in mind, let's have a look at your next steps So in terms of your next steps, I'd highly recommend that you check out the new Google for Small Business website, which is available, which I'm sure Melanie is going to be pasting in the link to that into the live chat for you as well, whereby you're able to kind of have a look at the online success guide. You can have a look at the digital toolkit and also for tips for dealing with COVID-19 as a small business as well. So definitely kind of check that out. It's a really fantastic resource and a base and something which you're more than welcome to kind of bookmark that website and kind of go back to time to time as well. Now, another thing that you can do in terms of next steps is continue your learning. Make sure that you booked on for the webinar session next week on digital marketing strategy, which is the final webinar in this series in collaboration with Restaurants Association in Ireland. Also, check out the Google Digital Garage website. Make sure that you kind of have a look at the online courses section. Remember, it's the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing course, which once completed, you will actually receive a certificate from Google at no charge, confirming that you actually completed that particular course as well. And it's kind of great to kind of get recognition at times as well. So feel free to kind of do that as well. Feel free to also fill out our short feedback form. Both myself and Melanie would appreciate just a little bit of feedback from you both. From you all. In regards to this webinar session. And once you complete that feedback form, you'll actually receive a copy of the content that we've just been through in this webinar session that you're able to kind of download as well. So feel free to also, if you are social media minded, which is something that we just kind of ended this webinar session on, feel free to also use our hashtag which is hashtag Digital Garage, to kind of share the resources, such as kind of the online courses that are provided on the Google Digital Garage website with your friends, family, and your wider support network as well. So apart from that, I want to say a massive thank you to our webinar partner, Restaurants Association of Ireland. I want to say a massive thank you to Melanie, who I'm sure agrees has been a wonderful chat moderator. Feel free to show your appreciation down below in the live chat. And once again, thank you very much for tuning into this Google Digital Garage webinar session, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you. Goodbye.